Last time, we saw the brief return of Cooler. He did pose a huge threat at first, but thanks to Bulma's help, they were able to beat him. At least, seemingly beat him. It seems like he might still be lurking around without anyone knowing. But in the meantime, what else is going on? We'll be seeing all that and more in part 7 of What If Bulma Was a Z-Fighter. Now we enter a time skip into the Buu saga. And let's discuss what happens over this time. That chip from the Big Getty Star which holds Cooler's consciousness, it remains dormant for the time being. It's eventually able to slip out unnoticed and attach itself to one of Bulma's computers back at Capsule Corp, trying to extract all the info it can from it. What's even better is the fact that it finds Cell. Bulma's been working on this project for a while and he still has a long way to go, but this little computer chip sees an opportunity here. With the Big Getty Star and Cooler's consciousness working in tandem, this chip decides to connect itself to the chamber that Cell's being held in, making sure not to corrupt it so Bulma won't notice and instead just waiting until Cell's ready to be hatched. From all the info it's gotten, once Cell awakens, it's going to try to take over him. Cooler is interested by this. He doesn't like the fact that his consciousness is stored on this chip right now, but hopefully he'll get an actual body again soon. The Big Getty Star initially had different plans for him, but now it's this. He just hopes he doesn't have to wait too long. Also over this period of time, by pure chance, Krillin ends up meeting Android 18. And since it's by pure chance, he doesn't even realize until later on that she's the same android they saved before. He knew she looked familiar, but didn't know why. The two androids are thriving and are obviously not bad people. Plus, Krillin and 18 get their happy ending and get to be together, which surprisingly is kind of rare in my scenarios. It's a small thing to know, but worth mentioning. Speaking of other things that change from the Cell Saga being different, Mr. Saiyan also isn't as famous as normal, but still, he's pretty famous. He is the world champ after all. He's just not a huge hero that saved Earth. Saiyan City isn't going to be named after him, but he still is a big name there. A celebrity known everywhere. It seemed like he was before he even fought Cell, so even here, he's still going to be pretty well known and loved, which also means Videl might still become a hero and be just as well known. But while she's out being a vigilante, she notices something strange. At some point, 4 different heroes appear in the city. One goes by the name Great Saiyaman, but the other 3 look completely different from him. One looks to be just a kid dressed in purple, and he doesn't really fight much, he acts more like a sidekick. While the other 2, they don't even look human. They look like pretty old-fashioned superheroes actually. It's really weird at first, but the city ends up accepting these 4 people. Gohan did end up becoming the Great Saiyaman, but also over this time period, he became closer with Dr. Hedo as friends. Chichi really likes this because Hedo is a great influence on Gohan. And the two both think superheroes are awesome. So, Gohan ends up becoming a superhero, and Hedo wants to join. He's already hardened his skin, so he's immune to bullets and stuff. But there's more beyond that he does. At some point, he ends up creating 2 androids of his own, inspired by old-fashioned superheroes named Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. At first, these 2 are basically just meant to train Gohan to be a superhero, but instead they realize, wait, they could all be superheroes, all 4 of them. It's great for Gohan. It's a fun way to protect his identity, and still protect the city from threats. Plus, the Gammas get to do more than just being training partners and basically security guards for Capsule Corp. And it lets Hedo get involved too, although he's not really that strong. Just invulnerable. He's just glad to be a part of it though. This is all really weird for everyone. Like, the Great Saiyaman alone would have been weird enough, but then those other 3 show up. And with the other 3 being there, that's good for Gohan because he doesn't always have to go out as Great Saiyaman. This lets him protect his identity for a little bit longer, but eventually Videl does find out because he flies too close to the sun. But as for the other 3, she has no clue of who they are. She wouldn't know who Hedo is anyways, and the other 2, they are just Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, they don't have another identity. And Hedo continues to improve the 2 Gammas. He built Hachimaru way earlier on, and had him spying on the fight with the metal coolers. He always knew that weird stuff was going on Earth, and had it follow Bulma one day, realizing that she's incredibly powerful, and friends with aliens. And also, they're fighting other aliens, who have merged with robots or something. Of course, he finds this awesome, but seeing the metal coolers kind of convinces him that he wants to make an android now too. Granted, it's a completely different thing than what metal cooler is. But imagine how awesome that would be if he had the funding to finally make an android. He could do this and he can make them superheroes too, and unlike what he originally did, he doesn't have to rob graveyards. He makes robots, which is way more ethical and way better. And yes, by now he's Dr. Hedo even though he's still a teenager. More of a reason why Chichi likes Gohan hanging around with him. And you know, she doesn't mind if they all train together. Gohan gets Hedo's good influence, he gets to grow stronger, and remember, Chichi also is still a fighter here, so she's a little bit more lenient with all that. But now that leads us to the Torment and the Buu saga. And of course the roster here is going to be very different. Gamma 1 and 2 don't join because they don't feel it's right for robots to be part of that, and Hedo doesn't want them joining either. But we do get some extra people there that weren't there before. Obviously, Bulma's going to be one of the people to join, with Chichi also being part of it too. With Bulma being in the tournament, Yamcha also ends up joining because obviously he's way more active here. Ten and Chaozu are more active in the scenario as well, and they end up joining too. Although something really strange happens in the first round of the tournament. Spopovich and Yamu end up appearing. But they end up fighting people way stronger than them and they can't get any energy. And once the 2 Kais try to intervene, it's already too late. They try and retreat. But Piccolo's already figured out who these 2 Kais are, and has spoken with them about what's going on. So, now knowing about what they're here to do, Piccolo tells the 2 Kais that he's just gonna handle it. Let the rest of the tournament go on normally. And it's really good that it didn't go according to their plan, because otherwise they would have gotten energy from one of the fighters here. but instead they're just retreating, trying to do a different strategy. Piccolo fills everyone else in, and he ends up leaving with the Kais alone. They're going to chase down Spopovich and Yamu, and they should just be able to stop Babidi alone. Some of the others do want to go along and stop Babidi, but Bulma advises them to stay here. She thinks it would be smarter this way. Especially if they're looking to steal energy, why would they bring all these strong fighters right to them? If anything, they should have one person go there or at least try to draw Babidi out here. Maybe it's best to have everything go normal, and if they could have some great fights here, maybe that will draw Babidi out of where he is. So instead of having to track down Babidi, it leads Babidi right to them. So that's what they decide on. Piccolo's gonna go with the Kais, and if they find Babidi there, great. But if not, Babidi will probably just show up at the tournament himself, and that'll make it even easier for them. So the tournament continues, but it's lost a few of the members. Videl and Chaozu are eliminated on their own, and Shin, Kibito, and Piccolo just end up leaving. So then we get to the quarterfinals. The first battle there is one that's been a long time coming, Chichi versus Bulma. Now, Chichi has been keeping up on her training a lot. In terms of skill, she actually is better than Bulma, but Bulma does have an advantage in terms of raw power. And that's not to say that Bulma isn't a skillful fighter, because she definitely is, especially when it comes to using ki in unique ways. She's very creative and a great strategist when it comes to battle. But even though she does have an advantage in terms of power, this helps even the playing field for the two of them. And Chichi knows how strange it is too to be back at the tournament. It's been a while since she's been at one. And she even lets Bulma know that the whole reason she started fighting again in the first place was because of her. In retrospect, it is kinda silly. But despite all that, she's glad that it went this way. And even if she doesn't win here, she doesn't really care too much because she knows Goten's gonna win the junior division. There's no one to contest him there. Bulma does end up winning this fight, but it's a pretty close battle too. Next we have Yamcha versus Ten, with Yamcha taking the win. Glad to have this rematch and glad to win it. Ten knows that Yamcha's grown a lot, especially with Bulma and everyone else around him. But it's so strange to think back to their first fight before, and seeing how much Yamcha's improved. He's proud of his friend. The next battle is even crazier though, and probably the craziest one in the tournament because it's Goku versus Gohan. Or rather, Goku versus the Great Saiyan because his identity isn't exposed. But Goku doesn't want to hold back here. This is their chance at a great battle, especially because if they fight at full power, it might even draw Babidi out here and help everyone else. And worst case, if it does nothing in that regard, then at least they get to have an all-out battle for once. But Gohan does want to protect his identity, so he's careful about it. He immediately transforms, going beyond Super Saiyan. By now they have Super Saiyan 2, so that's what he goes into. And he keeps his glasses on. This way people realize that the Saiyan is the Golden Warrior, but they don't realize that both of those people are also Gohan. The Gammas are in the crowd watching as well. Gamma 2 thinks it's awesome to see the Golden Warrior return. Honestly, he liked that look for Gohan. Although, Gamma 2 much prefers his Saiyan getup. This is a nice mix though. Hedo's also in the crowd and his jaw just dropped to the ground. This is awesome. Especially because Goku also goes Super Saiyan 2. And he's been looking forward to this battle. Of course, he and Gohan have sparred a lot and trained a lot together. But now everything's different with how powerful Gohan is. He's proud to see that Gohan's reached this level. And of course he's known about it for a while, but still. He always thought that Gohan would surpass him one day, but he doesn't know if that's happened yet. And this battle will be a perfect way to decide that. He wonders how that training with the Gammas has gone. And Gohan promises to give Goku a great battle. The fight is really hard to keep up with for everyone else. Of course all of Goku and Gohan's friends can keep up with it. Hedo can't really see what's going on, but the Gammas tell him what's happening, and Hachimaru also gives him a video feed. So despite being at normal human levels, he still gets data on what's happening, and gets some pretty cool replays. They're fighting at such amazing speeds, and everyone in the crowd is entertained. At first the battle seems like it's pretty even, but as it goes on, little by little Gohan is showing more and more power. And Goku notes it too. It's kinda like Bulma versus Chichi. The two are at similar levels in terms of strength, although Gohan has the edge in terms of power and is growing during the battle. And as for Goku, he has a huge edge in terms of skill. But that power difference is making this battle even. But slowly the gap becomes wider and wider. Gohan shows even more strength. And it's a tough fought battle, but Gohan ends up winning here. Goku's obviously not bummed out with the loss because this is his son that won. No one in the crowd understands why Goku's so sentimental with the Great Saiyan, and it's weird because some of Gohan's classmates know that that's Gohan's father. He's almost treating the Saiyan like his son. Strange, but Dragon Ball civilians are apparently really stupid and don't notice that that's Gohan. The following match in the quarterfinals is Krillin versus 18. Krillin is stronger in this scenario than he is normally, but I feel like 18 would still win here because she's just naturally advantaged being an android. So next is the semifinals. The first battle is Bulma versus Yamcha. Again, another really close match. At this point in the story, the gap between them is really small. Bulma has grown to be an exceptional warrior, but they're both doing pretty much the exact same training. Yamcha does have more experience than her in the long run, but by now, they're pretty much as close to even as anyone can get. And they know everything about each other too. I mean, they're married. They both have the same powers, the same abilities, they're both humans. They have the same training, pretty similar fighting styles, everything is pretty much the same. This fight is dead even, but I'll say that Bulma secures a very close victory, solely due to strategy and how uniquely she uses her ki here. The battle simply comes down to that because they're even in every other regard. The next one after that is 18 versus Gohan, and obviously Gohan wins, with the final battle being Gohan versus Bulma, which is a fun fight, but of course Gohan's gonna win there. So the Great Saiyan takes it all, although he ends up fighting Mr. Satan, but takes the fall there so he doesn't make him mad. That is his potential girlfriend's father. And Chi-Chi's happy too because both of her sons earned some money from this. Now Gohan didn't extort Mr. Satan for money, but he did pay him out here. And as for Goten, he wins the junior division with no effort at all, not even needing to transform, which he can do by now. So the tournament goes peacefully, but what happened in the meantime? Well, there's a reason Babidi didn't show up. Piccolo and the two Kais chase down Spopovich and Yamu, getting to where Babidi is. At first it's a bit tough. Deborah ambushes them and they have to fight him off. But by the time the fight with Deborah starts, Shin teleports away mid-battle and then comes back with Goku. This is right after his battle with Gohan is finished. Kibito is able to quickly heal him up, and Piccolo's surprised that Goku's here, but Goku actually told Shin about this before they all left. He assumed that he was going to lose against Gohan, but if Gohan ended up losing there, then Gohan was going to go with them. But since he lost against Gohan, he doesn't need to be at the tournament now because he knows that Gohan's just going to win the whole thing. It's a shame that he missed out on some other matches like Bulma vs. Yamcha, but he'd rather help out here. Piccolo, Goku, and the two Kais fight against Deborah, killing him pretty quickly, and Babidi starts panicking because they enter his ship, getting rid of the rest of his soldiers. And you might think, well, maybe Piccolo's going to go Majin here because he's had a different backstory, but no, that's not going to happen. Piccolo's been brainwashed before and he's not going to let that happen again. And he also doesn't really have a reason to give into that. So Babidi barely gets any energy. The most he gets is from the fight with Deborah. But he's eventually killed, and the Buu saga is stopped before it even happens. That didn't go according to plan, but it went a lot smoother than the Kais expected. They safely take away Buu's egg and end up leaving Earth, thanking Goku and Piccolo and all the others for their help. And thankfully for Goku, he and Piccolo make it back to the tournament in time for Goten's final match. Goku is a little bit bummed that he missed the matches, but he knew that it would be pretty easy for Goten anyways. But strangely enough, a few weeks later, there's another visitor that comes to Earth. A very familiar person who hasn't been there in a while. Raditz reappears, this time with Vegeta and Nappa. Out in space, he sensed Goku and Gohan's energy, wondering what was happening, thinking that there was a big battle, but apparently there wasn't. It was just a normal tournament. Well, there was the stuff with Babidi, but that was all avoided. Oh, he thought he was missing out on something, which is why he came here, but hey, he's still here for a reason. He wants to test out his power against Kakarot. It's about time for a rematch. And also, Vegeta and Nappa kind of wanted to see Kakarot's power too. By now, both of them have Super Saiyan and are pretty okay with it. And Raditz just recently unlocked something pretty cool, showcasing his own version of Super Saiyan 2. And he's not too surprised to see that Goku has the exact same thing. The two of them briefly do have a battle, but Goku ends up being the victor, although he comments on how strong Raditz has grown. He didn't realize he got that powerful, or the fact that he got Super Saiyan 2 in general. And he actually does tell Raditz, he's not the strongest here. That would actually be Raditz's nephew. Gohan actually just fought Goku and he ended up winning there. Which not only amazes Raditz, but it really amazes Vegeta and Nappa because Gohan's not even an adult yet. And he's already surpassed Kakarot, who's a low-class Saiyan to begin with, and he surpassed them a while ago. That's just insane. And Raditz also explains what's went on in space too. The Frieza force is now fully gone because they got rid of all the scraps. The Saiyans have stuck together and just done whatever, basically only focusing on training because they just want to test out their different powers. And they also learn of Cooler coming back, which freaks Raditz out because apparently he came back as a robot. Well, at least he's gone now. Raditz and the Saiyans end up leaving again, but they say they'll be back pretty soon. They need to catch up with this planet more, it seems. And since things are still going pretty fast right now, we have one more short time skip, going into Battle of Gods. Beerus does end up awakening, having a dream prophesizing the Super Saiyan God. And we can kind of breeze through Battle of Gods because it's pretty short in general, and nothing really happens in this version of it either. They get the other Saiyans to come there to help for the ritual. They actually do have enough Saiyans. Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, and Goten. They don't even need Pan in the ritual. Although, this doesn't really work because two of the Saiyans that they have aren't necessarily fitting for the ritual. It's not like Vegeta and Nappa are terrible people still, but they're definitely not righteous enough for this ritual to work. Hell, maybe even Raditz might not be enough. So, Beerus is about to leave the planet a little bit disappointed, but not angry because there's also no Buu incident. But there is something that calms him down. Goku actually offers the idea of going to train with Beerus and Whis. Yes, that ritual does exist and that seems like it is the way to unlock Super Saiyan God, but maybe Goku can find some other way to unlock it. He knows that through hard work he can unlock something. Maybe it's Super Saiyan God. Maybe it's another Super Saiyan form, like something beyond Super Saiyan 2. A hypothetical Super Saiyan 3 maybe. He knows that if he trains with them, that's how he's going to break his limits. They're the best option for that. And for all he knows, he can become the Super Saiyan God that Beerus wants. So, he ends up going with them, ready to train to become a Super Saiyan God. And it doesn't seem like any crazy threats will show up on Earth soon anyways. But there is one dormant that's lying around, and we'll be seeing more of that soon. This is where we'll leave off for now. What do you guys think about this part? What do you think is going to happen next time? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel, and it shows me you want to see more videos like this one. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.